Hello, hello. We are back for another episode of Launch Codes Football. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Chelsea.
and it's I guess it's the Monday after the draft. Well, Monday, yeah, we're recording this on Monday. It's after the draft. We have a lot to say, and let's just jump right into it. Honestly, it's just because this is going to be fun. The five biggest questions or takeaways from the 2026 NFL Draft without spoilers. Fernando Mendoza went number one. Um,
This is my surprise face.
yeah, yeah. The biggest thing, let's just start with our five questions. Number one question, who is the winner? And I would go with honestly, and surprising because these teams never win. Um,
It'll be
the,
the one time they win this
yeah,
year.
yeah, Chelsea even brings out the colors of one of the teams I picked. The Jets and the Browns. Yeah, I don't think it's hard to go against the Jets after I think Jets probably had one of the better first rounds, honestly, getting David Bailey, getting Omar Cooper, and then getting the tight end Sadiq, which
Yeah, that
I
was a really good first round.
that was a just from that alone, I would just go with that like you knocked it out the park. You nailed getting a playmaker on defense and two big playmakers on offense. And I think that was awesome. And the Browns first round, they basically just decided, let's just build our receiving core this draft. You got Casey Concepcion, you got Denzel Boston. I think those are two really good picks, and those are two players that honestly I'm upset Steelers didn't get, but that's another thing. Um, but not the most
Not that
upset.
there's angst or anything.
Yeah, not the most upset I was at during the draft, but we'll talk about that later. Getting Spencer Fano on the offensive line from Utah. They waited till day three to get a quarterback. We knew they were going to get a quarterback for the room full of quarterbacks, so they waited till day three. Which I'll say this: he had the quarterback that got Tylen Green from Arkansas, fastest quarterback 40 times since 2003. He is definitely. I can see him being used in a gadget kind of situation this year, maybe just like wildcat offense and stuff. The biggest question with these two teams, honestly, is just going to come down to their quarterback play. I think Denver, the Browns have their entire roster outside their quarterback is really good, and the Jets, I would say this is kind of a tank year, maybe kind of semi-tank year. They didn't really impress last year. They trade off their best players for draft capital, and they're going to probably be looking for a quarterback. Surprise, I don't think Geno Smith's the future for the Jets. They're probably gonna be looking for a quarterback. Yeah, I'm shocking Chelsea all podcast already. They're gonna be looking for a quarterback next year. So if they tank this year, then they'll probably get like a top five pick, get yourself a potential quarterback for the future, and you'll have the talent around them to help them get going. So for the first time in who knows how long, which probably the Jets and the Browns are equally winners. Yay, Cleveland and New York.
It's all right. Like I said earlier, it's the one thing they'll win this year. I mean, what? Okay. For me, I went with the Eagles, which I'm sure will transition eventually into Daniel's angsty moment. Um, I think Howie Roseman is the best GM in football. I think there are a couple who are good. I think he's good. I think the 49ers GM is good, a couple of others. But Howie Roseman, his philosophy is kind of outside the box. He doesn't really draft based on need, he drafts based on talent, which I feel like is low key what all fans would prefer their GMs to do instead of drafting mediocre talent at a position of need just because they need it, but instead drafting someone who you know is going to be really good regardless of position. They took Makai Lemon in the first, which was a very dramatic moment Daniel was angsty about. I thought that was a great pick. I mean, with all of the talk around, at least we think he's still going to the Patriots, but after everything that's happened, I mean, who knows? But according to reports, AJ Brown is getting traded to the Patriots after June 1st, once they can save some money against the cap. So they traded his replacement pretty much automatically. I don't think he'll be the one in this offense. I think that honor will go to Devontae Smith, but I think Lemon will slot right in as the two. And I think he'll be relatively successful. I mean, he was one of my favorite receivers in this year's class, and it was a deep class. So I really liked that. Poor Steelers. I really feel for Steelers fans. But I think that's a really good pick for them. And then outside of that, they started drafting just based on best talent available. pretty much in the second round. They took Eli Stowers, the tight end out of Vanderbilt, in the second. I really liked that. Now you're probably thinking, why on earth would the Eagles take a tight end? They have Cal Katera. They just re-signed,
Got it.
what's his face? Yeah, Dallas Goddard. They have a couple of other guys. But here's the thing, Dallas Goddard is getting old. Cal Katera is a good depth piece, but he's not a one. Eli Stowers is really good. He had a really, really solid career at Vanderbilt and in college, just in general. I really like that pick. I think he'll be a good fit in that offense. So I was a fan of that. Their most interesting pick, in my opinion, was Cole Payton in the fifth round, the quarterback, beefing up their practice squad and backup bodies for the quarterback position, I guess, which is interesting. I don't think he'll necessarily make a lot of noise with the Steelers, but as we've kind of talked about a bit in the past, there has been some dialogue around Jalen Hurts and what his future is and how he performs this year and what happens if he doesn't perform well this year and what that looks like. Personally, I would be very shocked if they moved on from Jalen Hurts. I think he's arguably a top 10 quarterback, if not right there on the line. Um, so I would be surprised, but I have seen a bit of dialogue about that. So part of me is wondering, like, we like this kid. Let's give him a shot, see what he has. And then if things fall through with, their head coach and with Jalen Hurts for some reason, then, they do technically have a contingency plan. Outside of that, their other pick that I like, it was their third round pick. They took Markel Bell, the offensive tackle out of Miami. Their O-line has definitely gone through some changes. It was really good a couple of years ago when they had Kelsey and everyone. Kelsey retired. They've had some injuries. People have started to age. So I do think taking an offensive lineman was a good move there just because their O-line is older. So I think it will be good to have someone kind of sit behind the really seasoned veterans like they have to learn. But honestly, I really liked their draft. Vast majority of it comes from those first two picks. I loved Lemon, automatic replacement, and then I really like the Eli Stowers pick. I think Eli Stowers and Dallas Goddard could feed families, especially inside the 20-yard line. But don't take Dallas Goddard in fantasy this year because I have a feeling that half of his touchdowns are going to get stolen by Eli Stowers. So I would tentatively draft Eagles tight ends if I were you guys, but time will tell.
Yeah, and let's not forget their biggest, most important pick. They got Makai Morris from Georgia. The Philadelphia pipeline continues. Uh,
Georgia, technically he was from Georgia Tech,
no, no,
but
no, he was from Georgia.
oh,
Yeah,
well,
he
the
was from Georgia.
Athletic is lying to me then because it says Georgia and it has the Georgia Tech logo next to it. So thanks a lot, Athletic.
Let's actually skip our next question just because we're on the Eagles right now. Let's talk about our most surprising draft moment. And Charles, tell us how you and I both experienced the most surprising moment from the from the draft. Just paint the picture.
Yeah, so we had a draft party with some of our local buddies here in the area, and Daniel came over. Daniel was very excited. There was news dropping on Twitter and social media and things like that Micaiah Lemon was on the phone with the Steelers and that they were going to take him at what, pick 20? Was it pick 20?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
20,
They were going to
21,
take him
21.
at pick 21. Okay, he's literally on TV, on not Daniel, Micaiah Lemon is on TV on the phone with the Steelers. Well, then all of a sudden, everyone starts like acting weird. People are like looking at their phones and stuff. Yeah, as it turns out, the Eagles traded up one spot in front of the Steelers to take him, to spite the Steelers. And the best part about it is that they traded up with the Cowboys, who of all people, why on earth would you trade up with the Cowboys? But let me just tell you, when this happened, Daniel was sitting in his chair and he looked at all of us and he was like, this is my life. He's like, why? What can I not just have one nice thing
I
one
w-
time in a
I
in a new era of Steelers football? Can I just get my guy? He was mad. And honestly, I felt bad because I would be mad too.
I was just annoyed because it's one of those things like the fact that Mekhi Lemon dropped as much as he did was somewhat surprising. Everyone thought he'd be
Yes,
about
I agree.
top 10 to top 15 pick. He was hitting the 20s. So I'm thinking, oh,
Yeah,
this. So I didn't even think about Mekhi Lemon at all, drafting Mekhi Lemon. I'm like,
me either.
and I'm just like, wait a second, this is about to happen. This is actually going to happen.
He
Oh
got
my
his
goodness.
hopes up prematurely, is what he's
Oh
saying.
my goodness. He was on the phone with him. Okay, they were talking on the phone. You can't get any closer. It's like tasting defeat. It's like what's the saying? Like that you're tasting on the edge of victory. You taste defeat or something. And I'm thinking, oh my
You
good,
clutch defeat out of the jaws of victory.
yeah. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't expect this to happen. It's like when you're not expecting something great to happen, and then someone's like, oh no, I'm gonna give you this. I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting this, but this is cool. Nah, not gonna give it to you.
They're like, actually, just kidding.
I was so, and I
That
know
was tough.
that was that was so annoying. I was so annoying. I was having a good draft too. It was like, okay, this is a fun draft. This is a great draft. It's cool to hang out with everyone. And then like, oh wow, we're about to get back. Nope, we got offensive tackle. We got a lineman, which we did.
To be fair, you did need
That's
one,
the thing.
but Makai Lemon would have been much more
We
exciting.
needed a lineman. I went to that. I walked in that your apartment thinking, I'll be happy. We're gonna get a lineman. I'll be happy with a lineman because we do need an offensive tackle for Broderick Jones. Like, okay, just give me a lineman. Wait a second. It's like I
Well, you
want.
got your wish, technically.
Oh my God. So that was the most surprising slash moment of the draft. That was also my most disappointing moment. Um, to me, the most surprising moment, honestly, was the Ty Simpson going to the Rams. And after staying on it for what, 4 days at this point, I still don't like the pick. I don't like. I get the idea. I understand the meaning behind the pick. I just really don't like I don't like it because for three main reasons. A, it kind of go against the entire philosophy of the McVay Rams, which is very much we win now, future later. We don't like we're not worried about the future. We'll trade them draft picks. It's a meme now that the Rams never have a first round draft pick. Like with trade draft picks, we need to win now. You had serious issues in terms on your defensive side of the ball that you could have used a top 12, top 13 pick to get. Two, all this is making the assumption that Matthew Stafford is going to retire next year or two, which is a big assumption to make. Like, even if we don't compare Evan to Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is an outlier, you're not going to have a guy 44, 45 still being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And Rodgers is 41, 42. Stafford's like 3 years younger than him at this point, 2, 3 years younger than him. Rodgers is still a serviceable quarterback. I just don't, I don't understand the idea of getting someone when you are on the cusp of winning a championship that you're not playing. And I think the third biggest thing to me is like Ruben Bain was right there. You kind of, you're going against the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks in the division. I kind of want the best pass rusher on the board to be on my side to get Sam Darnold to seeing Ghost again, or I guess Brock Purdy to see Ghost at this. I guess he can see Ghost too. But so I think, and the thing is, I don't think McVay was that happy with the pick. McVay's one of the most expressive coaches in the league, and he looked like, yeah, okay, we're gonna come here and we're gonna work hard. And in the back of his
Well,
mind,
he came out after talking about it and he was like, everyone thinks that I'm only mad about this. I'm literally not. He's like, there was just other stuff going on in our draft process that I was processing. And I was like, that probably is true. Like, I believe him when he says that,
yeah,
but there is still a part of me that's like, I don't think he was a big fan. And I think it's pretty obvious.
I say this, it's the best situation for Ty Simpson to go to.
That's true. He was probably ecstatic.
Yeah, but again, from all the points I just laid out, is it really the best pick for the Rams to do?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
see
know.
the argument either way because, I mean, let's be honest, let's not let, recency bias affect us. At the beginning of last year, people didn't even know if Matt Stafford was going to play because he was dealing with that back injury during training camp. Like, there
Yeah.
were some pretty big questions around their quarterback situation,
And then
and
won the MVP. Then
everyone knew that, anyone they had as a backup like wasn't going to be serviceable. So,
yeah.
on one hand, I get it. Like I think taking a contingency plan for a team that's win now, there's arguments against it because you're win now, but there's also arguments for it because if Matt Stafford, plays 3, 4 more years, in 3, 4 more years, Ty Simpson will be ready to start. He'll be polished, he'll be experienced, he will have learned under, an MVP winning quarterback. So I think, I understand doing it because you want to set yourself up for the future. Like you were saying, it kind of goes against their philosophy. They aren't really a team that does that, but perhaps they're trying to change that philosophy. I mean, they went, what, 5 years without a first round pick? And
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
went for a
honestly,
while.
they kind of got lucky getting Matt Stafford because they just happened to trade Goff for him. So imagine where they would be if they didn't have that. probably nowhere close to being a competing team. So there's probably a part of them that's like, man, don't really want to deal with that again. Let's take the contingency plan. But at the same time, man, I mean, if you're a win now team, I think you probably could have taken a quarterback in the second round, the third round, something like that, and been happy with that because it's not like he's going to start immediately anyway unless Stafford gets hurt. So I see the argument both ways. It was definitely shocking. I mean, me personally, I probably would have taken defense just because I think that they have big needs on that side of the ball. Time will tell. Who knows? In 4 years, Ty Simpson might come out and be a top five quarterback because he is actually put in an advantageous situation for him. So time will tell, but I'm sure their fans were not particularly pleased with that. I have not perused the LA Rams subreddit, but I can imagine they were not really happy.
Yeah, this might. Yeah, you could be right. It could be like an Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love situation, but honestly, I'm still.
Who, in fairness, Aaron Rodgers was also mad. So,
Yes, yeah, that ended with Rodgers and Favre hating each other. So,
hmm. And
it,
then Rodgers really not liking Jordan Love, which
yeah,
you kind of have to feel bad for the Rook, right? Because it's not his fault. I mean, it's not like he decided to be drafted there. It was just, a matter of situation. And he's probably just like, well, now my quarterback hates me. This is awesome.
my Hall of
Thanks.
Fame quarterback hates. No, like
Yep.
again, I get the argument. I just like to me, if you do this, it kind of has to be somewhat of a sure thing, and there really has been like a sure thing Alabama quarterback in a very long time.
But, for all we know, Matt Stafford in a year, he might be ready to be done. Say that they do win the Super Bowl. He wins a Super Bowl, he got an MVP a year before, what? He might say, I'm good. And he just might retire on his own terms. So perhaps there are conversations that have been had behind the scenes where he's like, hey, like, I'm okay with this. I don't know how much longer I'm going to play. I'd
Yeah,
like to play as long as possible. But, with back injuries, I mean, I know people with back issues, they can spurn up any second and become a very serious issue. So time will tell. But me personally, wasn't a huge fan of the pick.
that's things they did tell Stafford that they were drafting Simpson, so Stafford wasn't
At
surprised by
least they
that.
told him.
Yeah. So, and that being said, let's go to our next question, the biggest loser. And you'll think as much as I'm hating on the Rams, I'll pick the Rams as biggest loser, but no. It's actually a team that beat the Rams in the Super Bowl about a few years back. I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know why they traded up in the draft for someone who I think was still going to be there like 3 picks later. I like getting the lane from LSU. That's a good pick. Their biggest concern to me was receiver and tight end. They didn't get a receiver until the fifth round. They got no tight end to really replace Kelsey. They're relying heavily on. I think they're going to this season relying heavily on K9, and K9 is a good running back, but K9 is also somewhat fragile. He's been hurt a bunch of times over his career. He's not this Derrick Henry type that just never gets injured. When he's on the field, he's awesome, but but he misses a lot of time. There's one reason why Seattle always would get solid backups to like Charbonnet and others to be there to pick up the slack. They still are going to a season with Rashee Rice and Woody as your top receivers. You got an aging Kelsey, Mahomes coming off a torn ACL. I don't think they really did the best job of addressing the fact that their plays still can't separate. They still don't have really a dynamic playmaker to really separate from anyone. I don't think they got because they missed out on Mike Evans. So I don't even think they got anyone from free agency that really stands out. I think the biggest flaw with the team last year was the fact that it was just an arduous task to move the ball up and down the field, and that wasn't addressed. If you're putting all your eggs in K9's basket, to me, that's fool's. I'm not gonna say it's fool's gold. It's just a big risk because this isn't a guy that can play 17 games a year.
Yeah, that's true. See, I think it's interesting that you ranked the Chiefs as last because The Athletic actually ranked them eight out of 32, eighth best, which I think is interesting. They really liked Mansour Delane, and they like some of their late picks as well. So you went with a less obvious option. Me, I'm going with the incredibly obvious option and saying Jacksonville, which can we just take a moment? My heart is warmed. Thank you, Jacksonville. But here's my thing. Okay, so they didn't have a first round pick, just like us. Makes sense. Okay. They took two tight ends in the first 5 rounds. They took one in the second round with their first pick, and they took one in the fifth round. They have a tight end. They have a top 15 tight end. on their team. Why on earth would you take two tight ends? You're not Howie Roseman. There's a difference between taking a position of need and taking a position that is not of need twice. Like literally, I did not think that their draft was good. The two tight ends really sent me. They definitely picked up some. I mean, they picked up offensive help. They took two receivers in the sixth round as well. But honestly, no one really stands out from their draft. There's no one that I look at and I'm like, oh yeah, that guy, he's a dude. I don't know. The two tight end thing just I really think they just screwed themselves over. I'm sure Jacksonville fans are just beyond angry because they have a good tight end. Like when he's healthy, he was putting up at least a touchdown a game. Like I don't understand who was like, we need two tight ends. Yep, that's the one. Like I don't understand. Like you're getting Travis back, who I know is not a tight end, but you're getting him back as an offensive weapon. You still have Brian Thomas, who I feel is more likely to perform well this year after a bad year than to continue to be bad because he's too talented to
Hmm.
stay bad. They have other weapons like the guy that they picked up from the Raiders. I can't recall his name right now.
Jacoby. I'm saying Jacoby.
Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I
He
almost said
was really
I said Jacoby Brissett. I
uh,
like.
he was really good until the playoffs, where for some reason in that last game, I think he just decided to not catch the ball. But they added him. I mean, I know they lost ETN, which again, they didn't address the running back position, which I thought was interesting, even though they lost ETN. I mean, I know they have some depth guys on their team for sure. Still thought that was interesting. So they went double tight end that they didn't need and no running back, which they did need. So I just don't think they had a good draft at all.
Um, no, no, you eight. I guess the one thing I'm surprised they didn't. They got two receivers late in the draft, and I know they have somewhat talent. They have talented receivers. They got Jacoby Myers. They got Parker Washington. But here's the thing: Parker Washington and Brian Thomas. They were ranked two of the five worst hands statistically by PFF in terms of drop percentage. Like two of the top five were people on the Jaguars. The Jaguars' top two receivers for most of
That's
the
very
season.
Jacksonville of them.
Which, first of all, Trevor Lawrence, I feel bad for you, but
Hmm.
but I guess you trust Jacoby Myers to stand out some more. He's a good receiver, but
It's
the
crazy to me
I
because
just
they're
I
go
guess
ahead.
the running back thing is the thing that gets me. Like you I guess you really trust your depth guys.
Yeah, and I mean their running back depth, going back to that very briefly, they have Baishal Tutin as their starter.
Oh, they're fine then.
Chris Rodriguez Jr. is their backup. Someone I don't know is their third stringer, and then DJ Dallas, who used to be on the Cowboys, is their fourth stringer. I don't know about
Dang.
you. I don't know how you don't take running back. I mean, I know you weren't going to get Jeremiah Love because, he went top 10 and
Yeah,
you didn't have a
yeah.
first, but you could have taken Jeremiah Love's backup in the second. I mean, you could have taken one of the IU running backs who were pretty good. I think there was a guy who came out of it was either Texas A&M or Oklahoma who was pretty high ranked. They could have taken him. They didn't take him, but instead they took a tight end when they have Brenton Strange, who I know had injury issues last year. But before his injury issues, he was really good. Like he was tearing teams up. And then, they took a guard, which I mean, I feel like of their O-line positions, that the guard is the one they don't need. They have Ezra Cleveland and Patrick McCarry. Admittedly, I'm not super well versed on how well they played last year, but their tackles are Cole Van Lannon and Anton Harrison, and I don't even know who they are. So Trevor Lawrence has always had protection issues for most of his career. So I just don't understand how, number one, you don't take a running back, and number two, you take a lineman, but I feel like you took the wrong lineman. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it was a really bad draft for Jacksonville. And I'm not saying that because I'm a hater. I just legitimately think that if I were a Jacksonville fan and I watched them take two tight ends, I would be like, what are we doing?
They could have taken your running back. They could have taken Kalion Black, who went in the third round to San Francisco.
Yes, one of our other running backs actually got picked up as a UDFA to San Francisco, I believe.
Oh, cool.
So maybe
So,
they picked someone up as a UDFA. I don't know. I haven't looked at like all the teams UDFA pickups. But I just thought it was just not good. Like I feel like, I mean, look at I know we're not talking about the Colts, but the Colts didn't have a first, and I feel like they did relatively well with what they had. I mean, they made some trade ups, they traded down a little bit, they got positions of need. I don't get it. Like, it's just very strange. The two tight end and no running back thing is just sending me because you're good in one of those positions and you have Tootin as your starter in the other one, and
Well,
you don't take a running back. Like, I just don't get it.
one place you won't see Jacksonville is the steal of the first round, or the Colts, because
That's true.
both damn first round pick. Um,
Yeah.
I think, and I've talked about this slightly before. The steal of the first round to me was getting Ruben Bain to 15 for Tampa. I I get the arm thing could be a concern. I understand that. This is still you still want to get a pass rusher. If you can get yourself a potential dominant pass rusher, which he proved throughout the entire season at Chelsea contest in the national championship game. I almost thought
He was really good in the
Miami,
Natty.
he almost won this game for Miami, honestly. If like for him to drop as far as he did, and I think we talked about it last week, that I thought that yeah, there's reports that he might be dropping out like the top 10. He might be more 15 to 20. He hit 15
That was
exactly.
crazy.
Miami not drafting him makes it's just insane. This is the hometown guy. I get you not want to draft someone just because they went to the school close by. Miami needs his position of need is everything.
They're
Every
playing 4D chess.
they got the lineman from Alabama who Nick Saban complained about was somewhat overweight, was not a non-starter during his freshman year. Which again, I hope he does well. But you got Miami has problems with the entire roster, not besides Devon Achan. Get a
And
dominant.
Dolphins fans would argue their quarterback as well, but I don't buy that.
Eh, well,
Malik Willis getting the kind of money he got for 4 games of production is
we
crazy.
we will wait and see. But
I'm just saying, that's my take right now.
I
I
and
hope he's good, but
yeah,
man,
I
that's a
just
crazy amount of money for someone who had success for 4 games.
I just love the fact that he not only stays in Florida, he goes to the rival Florida team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that they won like three of the past four NFC Souths. I feel bad for North Carolina. I feel bad for Bryce Young potentially because I think Bain is going to be at the very least can get after the quarterback.
Well, the Panthers took an offensive lineman in the first round, so I guess that's their comeback to them
Yeah.
taking Ruben Bain. But for me, I'm gonna go Caleb Downs to the Cowboys. I did not think he was gonna fall out of the top 10. I thought there was a pretty good shot that the Giants were gonna take him. They did not. Let me just say, shout out Kyle, who was also at our draft party, who was absolutely devastated that the Cowboys took Caleb Downs because he's an Eagles fan. And he's like, this
Yeah.
is not good. I'm gonna have to deal with him for the next 10 years.
And then
Dude
they got
is
Lemon.
yeah, dude is spectacular. I mean, he was really good at Ohio State. He's actually Josh Downs' brother. Fun fact, the Colts receiver. And they play
Hmm.
each other this year in his rookie season, so that'll be fun. But no, I think he's really good, and I mean, I think he can have a big enough impact to make a positive impact on the Cowboys defense from day one. Like, I think he solidifies that back end of that defense more than anything else. That's how good he is. So, I'm excited to see him play. I hope he has success because he's related to my guy. Just don't talk about how you went to Ohio State and we'll be cool. As long as you don't mention that. But I thought that was a spectacular pick for the Cowboys. I mean, I feel like they had another first round pick, the 23rd pick. They took Malachi Lawrence, which I felt was underwhelming. So they went from like really good to like kind of not great. And the rest of their draft was okay, but the Caleb Downs pick was so good. I think he's going to be really good for the Cowboys. That's the kind of player they needed on defense. Someone who makes an instant impact, who's a day one starter, who goes out there and improves the defense immediately. That's what they got.
I haven't heard anything bad about Caleb Downs. Everything I hear about him is that he's the most talented guy in the draft. He has the highest floor in the draft. At the very least, this is going to be a guy who's a starter for 12 years in the NFL. And
Yeah.
it's going to be, and of course now he's in Dallas. Dallas got their
Yeah, I
new
mean,
Roy
really
Williams.
the only thing I heard about him for a little bit was that maybe he has a bit of a knee thing. But I mean, gosh, at this point, who doesn't have a bit of a knee thing? I mean, I think he'll be fine.
And with that, it's a perfect transition to our last question of the evening, the best day two pick. Yep. We're not doing best day three because let's be honest, I was watching basketball at that point. The
Can't
best
relate.
the best day two pick, and honestly, I picked the Jets and Browns as the two winners. If I had to pick a number, I had to pick a bronze medalist, it would be the Raiders. And I think a lot of it comes to the fact they got Jamad McCoy from in the fourth round. I can see this being a George Pickens situation because Gerard McCoy, he was supposed to be a day one pick after his sophomore year, but
Top 15 pick.
he
Top
blew,
15 talent, at least.
he blew out his ACL in the I believe it was one of the New Year's games. It might have been one of the New Year's games, and he just didn't play his junior. He just didn't play last year. This guy is like he went from a top 50 again. It's the George Pickens, but with us, Pickens was supposed to be a top 10, top 12 pick in the draft. Blew out his knee in the national championship or the semifinals, and the Steelers able to get him in the second round because he dropped. I think this is gonna be the same situation. I think getting Fernando was a good pick. Well, obviously it's
Fernando.
exactly Fernando. Getting him was a good pick. I said that was so much. Just I don't care.
He's like, oh, Fernando. Great.
But I think honestly, this is to me the steal of the draft, getting a potential top tier corner. As long as he seems healthy, as long as he stays healthy, I think this is going to be a guy that to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, pretty much all of day two and day three until he got drafted. Conlon was like, why on earth is he still on the board? Like, this is so crazy. He's like, I know he's injured, but like the potential and the talent is top 15 talent in the draft.
Like he at this point, like it's he got hurt his knee, I think January of last year. So it's been
Yeah,
a full over.
2025.
It's been a full year.
Mm-hmm. Unless there are just other injury concerns that the fans don't know about, which I suppose is possible. But no, I agree. That was probably the best day two pick of the entire draft. For me, I'm gonna go with my guy who went to the Dolphins, but it's okay. Jacob Rodriguez in the second round at pick 43 to the Dolphins. Great pick. Day one starter, quarterback of the offense. Fans will fall in love with him very quickly if they have not already after watching his film. I think he's going to be awesome there. And I think he is a key building block of a team that is basically building from nothing. So he's going to have a lot of opportunity. Let's just say that.
Okay, sounds good. And I guess before we head out, just a quick one-two-word sentence about our favorite teams, Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. I'll say with Pittsburgh, it was a solid draft. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was, but I think it was good. I like getting an offensive tackle. I like getting Bernard from Alabama. Fine, whatever. They figured they didn't get a quarterback in the first round, second round, so that's fine. Um, so I think overall, I think the draft was pretty solid. They got the two biggest need was offensive lineman and receiver, and they got two offensive linemen, two receivers. So I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I think the Colts had a good draft considering they didn't have a first. The Athletic ranked them 18th of all the teams that drafted, but they said that the Colts had their favorite haul without having a round one pick, which I would say I would agree with. If you disregard the fact that they had a first, I think that they did not have a first. I mean, I feel like they had a pretty good draft. They addressed linebacker immediately. They took CJ Allen out of Georgia, who's really good. So I'm happy with
Yeah,
that. They took AJ Holsey, the safety from LSU. I was really happy with that. We lost a safety in free agency, and he will pair up with Cam Bynum on the back end of the defense. So I'm pleased with that. The one pick, I was kind of like, really? Right there? They took Jalen Farmer in the fourth round, a guard, which it's up for debate. Like we could use a guard, we could not. It just kind of depends, but at least we have insurance. And then the rest of the draft I liked. They took another linebacker, they took two edge, they took a backup running back to kind of give some a break to Jonathan Taylor, and then their last pick was very intriguing. Deion Burks, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma. He is very fast. He's very undersized, but he's very, very fast. And they got him in the seventh round, and this kid was like a third to fifth round projected pick. So I'm hoping he can fill in that either that slot position or the Y, because they have Josh Downs in the slot and they have Pierce in the X. But if he could slot in at the Y and be that burner, I think that that would be pretty good use for him, assuming he starts, which seventh round pick, he may not. But you never know. So, all in all, I was pretty happy. I was very sad we didn't get Rodriguez, but honestly, I was kind of surprised he dropped to the second. I thought he was going to go in the first. So, but we still got linebacker, we got edge, we got receiver, took a tackle, so or a guard. So I feel like they did a decent job for what they needed.
yeah. Well, training camp's right around the corner. Off season's here. I guess now that we are off season, but we're still gonna be around. And Chelsea, tell the fans where they can find more content this summer from Launch Codes Football.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in, guys. Check us back out next week when our next episode drops. In the meantime, hit us up on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at Launch Codes Football, on X at Launch Codes FB. And if you're interested in joining our chat BCC group chat, hit us up. We can send you that link to talk all things upcoming NFL season. In the meantime, I'm Chelsea,
I'm Daniel.
and we will see you next week.
I'll be still being you about Makai Lemon next week.
I can confirm he will be.